Earlier this week, I managed to get to Tokyo for the first time since the end of 2019, and I had a whole afternoon to go record shopping. And in that time, I managed to visit the grand total of 3 record shops. That's how big Tokyo is. However, I did manage to get some good Elvis stuff, and that's what I'm going to be showing you in this video. Starting with this single. This is Fool, and it's a typical 70s Japanese insert with the lyrics on the back there and the company sleeve. This one, however, is a little bit different to your standard single in that it is a promo. Standard white label promo from the 70s. The label design is exactly the same as the regular orange label, except there's a little bit of text at the top which points out that this is actually a promo record. The second single I got was this copy of In the Ghetto. And this is the original version from 1969. One to look out for actually is one without the tri-center from 1972 or later. That's much more difficult to find than this one. And you can see it's in this RCA company sleeve. This was the first design of that company sleeve. And it's quite interesting because on the front there you've got several Japanese artists and also several non-Japanese artists. There's the monkeys up there. But I kind of think they've relegated Elvis to the back. Here he is at the top on this side here. But on this side you have a lot of artists that were less well known, like Chet Atkins, at least in Japan that is, and Jim Reeves, and Neil Sedaka, Paul Anka, who were perhaps past their commercial peak by then. And on this side, on the Japanese side, you have a woman here called Wada Akiko, and she still appears on television today. And back in the 70s, I think it was the 70s, yeah, it was, she did a pretty dreadful cover version of Jailhouse Rock. And this woman here, this is Fuji Keiko, and she's actually the mother of a Japanese pop star called Utada Hikaru, who is, well, if you know Japanese pop music well, she's very famous even overseas, not only in Japan. The text at the top here, just above the green text where it says In the Ghetto, the black text at the top there, it actually says that the record went to #1 in America. Everything else that I found was LPs. Now you might be thinking, oh, maybe he got like a full collection of 1950s rarities, but just as it is difficult to find those records online, so it's difficult to find them in person too. So, you can't just go to Tokyo and expect to find all the original records from the 1950s. Even if you were to spend a week looking around all the shops in Tokyo, you would probably only find 2 or 3 of the original records from the 50s. So sadly, I don't have anything from the 1950s to show you, but I do have this copy of the TV special. This was one of the very last copies of the TV special from 1981. And it had been in a gatefold sleeve up until this point. This was the first time it had been released in a single pocket sleeve. And it still has this photograph from On Tour on the back. They started using this back cover design in 1972. And this was the last series of Elvis records, this Best Buy 2000. This was a series of budget releases priced at 2,000 yen. And on this obi you can see it has the special offer for the mini capsule present, and I did a video about that many months ago. Not many of you watched that one, so please go back and give it a watch. And right until the end, the albums were on the RCA label, and it points out that this is in mono. I also found this compilation. This is from 1982, Elvis on Screen, and this is pretty popular with overseas collectors, and it's basically a collection of songs from various movies, most of which are listed there on the front in English. It also has one track from Tickle Me as well. And on the back it shows you the original LP covers of most of the albums that are covered, and all of the song titles are given in Japanese, and that's something that they tended to do with the Japanese unique cover. the track titles were usually only in Japanese. And it's a gatefold with the lyrics and some notes on the movies in Japanese. And it also has a special offer for a digital watch. And it was a Casio F10. 200 of those were available for free. And at the top of the obi there, it tells you the name of the series that this double album appeared in. It's called World Music Fair 83. This was the only Elvis set that was available in that series, but they all came with that offer for a free digital watch. This one's also on the RCA label. And in 1982, they did actually re-release a series of 10 Japanese soundtracks, or Elvis soundtracks, including Girl Happy, Kissing Cousins, Frankie and Johnny, Girls, 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 and Spin Out, and this one here, Follow That Dream, Viva Las Vegas. And I did a video about that whole series. But in actual fact, there isn't much repetition on this album. There's only a few tracks from those half a dozen albums. Speaking of soundtracks, I also found this copy of Girl Happy, and if you look very closely you can see there's the RCA logo there. So this is a later pressing, and the manufacturer here is listed as Victor Company of Japan, so that tells you it was available sometime between 69 and 72. And this was slightly unusual for a Japanese album, in that there were no lyrics on the back cover. The Girls, Girls, Girls album had been the same, and so what they did was they put the lyrics on a separate sheet. So the reissue has a white sheet, and the original album on Victor had a blue sheet. And of course this is on RCA. From the same era, this is Fun in Acapulco. Again, it's on RCA. And again, the manufacturer is Victor Company of Japan, so this one dates from that same period, 69 to 72. I also picked up a few non-Japanese albums, including this French copy of Gold Records Volume 2. I recently did a video on all the copies I own of this album, and the viewer pointed out this French copy with the blue lettering, and I did know about it, but I'd never seen it in the wild. So when I found this one for a really good price, I snapped it up. And the back cover is interesting because it has all the, well, not all, it has lyrics to 7 of the songs in French. And it also gives you the titles of the songs in French. And some of them are quite interesting. So for example, I Need Your Love Tonight, the first song, is called Oh Oui in French. And I Beg of You on side 2 is called Pitié pour moi, which I guess means something like take pity on me in English. Also on RCA. The next album is also not from Japan, although in a way it is and in a way it isn't. Elvis's Golden Story, Volume 1. If you've seen enough of my videos, then you're probably familiar with this cover, because it is actually a rip-off of this one here. This is the original Japanese album from 1965, and this is a copy from Taiwan. And it looks like they have just copied the cover, and the lyrics on the back here, they're also just copied from the Japanese gatefold cover. So I'm going to do a separate video on this album, comparing it to the Japanese copy. That cover is a little bit smaller than a standard LP cover, so the shop very kindly threw in this stiff 12-inch cover to keep it in place. And this album often turns up on coloured vinyl, but this one I have is actually on black vinyl. And the record itself is very interesting, but I'll get into that another day when I do a separate video on this album. So that album, Elvis's Golden Story, was released in 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2, and those 2 albums were combined into a double album in 1968 that looked like this. And I have shown a copy of this album in the past on RCA, but this is actually the first version of it on Victor. And you can see it has the Victor obi there. Beautiful red obi design there. And there's the back cover with some fairly recent photos taken around about 1967. Maybe this was the first cover to have a picture of Elvis's wedding on it, I'm not sure. And again, because it's a Japan only cover, then they've used only Japanese for the song titles there at the top. And there's the gatefold with Japanese sleeve notes there on the inside, and it also has a discography there as well. And it wouldn't be a Japanese album without the lyrics. And this is the first pressing, so it's on Victor. It was reissued on RCA, and I've done a video on Japanese compilations in which I go into more detail about that album and also the next one, which is Best 24. This is actually the first copy of that album with the red, white and blue obi, manufactured by JVC. And once again, it has the same tracks, and on the back cover they're here all in Japanese. So basically what they did was they just updated the cover using early 1970s pictures. This one came out in 1972. It's not as nice on the inside, it just has lyrics and insert liner notes. There's no discography in there. It's still on RCA. And the last album I bought was this copy of Guitar Man. And when I saw this in the rack, my eye immediately shot to this little hype sticker in the corner there, which says, "Please ask for Elvis Lucky Draw Postcard." And I'd never seen that before. I never heard anything about it. So I thought, well, that's got to be worth buying. And I'll buy it and find out more about it later. And the tag, the store tag on the cover, said that it was an American pressing. And sure enough, it looks American on the back there, right down to the barcode. So I bought it. I didn't check it in the store because it's in really nice condition and it's a store that I trust. So I just bought it. But later on, when I took it out of the plastic cover, I realized straight away that it couldn't be American because it just doesn't feel like an American cover. It doesn't have that glossy cover that the American one does. And when I looked more closely on the back, right down in the bottom corner here, it actually reads, marketed by Cosdell Singapore, Malaysia and Hong Kong. So I thought it was a Singaporean album. And then I looked at the record itself, and it says made in Malaysia on the labels. So it's my first Malaysian LP to go with my first Taiwanese LP. And the color of these labels, it's kind of like a pale orange, like a sort of a pale peachy color. And it sounds really good, actually. It's a very well made record. So there you go, that's what I picked up. Next month I'll be going back at the end of May, and hopefully I'll get some more good stuff. And if so, I'll make another video about it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Cheers.